We all know that photographs and videos serve as one of the most compelling evidences of the existence of what has been seen. However, there are some images that are so hard to believe, one might question their reality. And the stories associated with these pictures often shock us. The Radium Girls, mysterious creatures, and much more. In this video, we will explore 10 photographs with mysterious plots and amazing stories from the past. These photographs will allow us to dive into history and try to unravel the secrets they hold. Number 1. The Radium Girls. Many of us face dangers at our workplace every day, but often people knowingly take such risks. At the beginning of the 20th century, a group of girls, while performing their duties, found themselves in deadly danger without even realizing it. During World War I in the United States, numerous factories emerged for the production of military wristwatches with luminous dials. These watches were decorated with luminescent paint which contained radium. This radioactive element was widely used and popular in the 20th century. A group of young women was employed to paint wristwatches at the U.S. Radium Company, attracted by decent pay and not hard labor. The work was very meticulous, and therefore it was young women with thin, nimble fingers and sharp vision who were tasked with the painting. They later became known in history as the Radium Girls. Their suffering and struggle changed the world. These women were exposed to radium dust daily, which caused their clothing, hair, and skin to literally glow. Surprisingly, some of the girls even applied radium paint to their teeth to create a radiant smile, painted it on their nails, and applied it to their bodies and clothing, unaware of the dangers of radium. Often, the brushes used to apply paint to the tiny dial would fray, so on the advice of the company's technologists, to return them to their former shape, the workers used their lips and tongue, thereby ingesting this dangerous substance. Company executives assured that radium was safe, but reality was far from it. Radium was deadly dangerous upon repeated exposure. The effects of radium exposure soon became apparent. The women began to suffer from serious health problems, including bone fractures, tooth decay, and severe pain. The first death of Molly Magia shocked all the factory workers. Subsequently, her disease was named radium jaw. The bones of her lower jaw were destroyed by progressing necrosis. Despite initial resistance from the American Radium Corporation which faced litigation, the women eventually managed to achieve justice, as their story ultimately led to significant changes in labor rights and workplace safety. Seeing these photographs, you will undoubtedly believe in the truth of the story. But before we continue, I'd like to remind you that you can subscribe to our channel right now by clicking the bell icon, so you won't miss our new releases. Number 2. The Gas Mask Stroller. By the year 1938, the prospect of Great Britain entering the war with Germany was becoming increasingly likely, with the threat of gas attacks on civilian areas of the country looming. World War I took more than 100,000 lives due to chemical attacks. The world was introduced to the horrors of combat gases, such as chlorine and mustard gas. Understandably, these events made an indelible impression on the public. In the 1930s, such a threat loomed over the inhabitants of Great Britain. All possible precautions were taken. People were issued gas masks and were urged to be prepared for the worst. To care for children who still needed to be taken outside, the F.W. Mills Company from Kent developed an intriguing and somewhat eerie invention, the gas mask stroller. This stroller was designed to protect infants from gas attacks. It was engineered so that a child could be placed inside on a small bed and covered with a robust metal lid. The child breathed through a special gas filter attached to the top part of the lid. A special rubber bulb was also added to the other side of the stroller to expel stale air. The stroller was equipped with a window allowing parents to maintain visual contact with their child while ensuring their safety. Fortunately, this invention never found its use, as the anticipated gas attacks during World War II on the civilian areas of Great Britain never occurred. It's hard to imagine how terrifying it would have been for a small child to be in such a ghastly box. Number 3. Dead Alien in Siberia. In the year 2011, this video of a dead alien in Siberia went viral around the world. The video depicted a meter-tall creature lying in the snow. Many believed that a real extraterrestrial being had been found, but only a few years later the truth emerged. As it turned out, the photograph and video were fake, and the supposed alien was made from chicken skin and bread. Although this particular case turned out to be fabricated, it sparked discussions about the possibility of extraterrestrial life. For many years, people have been tormented by the question, do aliens exist? If they do, what do they look like? And are there any real photos of aliens? Number 4, the most famous cleaner in history. This is a photograph of Harriet Cole, or at least what became of her after death. The short life of Harriet Cole was rather unremarkable, but she became known for her valuable contribution to science. In the 1880s, Harriet worked as a cleaner at the Hahnemann Medical College in Philadelphia, which is now part of Drexel University. Her duties included cleaning the college's laboratories and classrooms, one of which belonged to an anatomy professor named Dr. Rufus Weaver. After many years of working at the university, Harriet finally retired, but unfortunately she fell ill with tuberculosis and died in 1888 at the age of 35. Before her death, she made a decision that immortalized her in medical history. Harriet Cole donated her body to the anatomist so he could use it for science. During his travels in Europe, Professor Weaver had seen the dissection of individual parts of the human nervous system, but no one had yet managed to preserve the entire nervous system intact. Weaver decided to undertake this innovative task with Cole's body. The meticulous process took about 5 to 6 months. Cutting away the flesh to expose the nerves, Weaver wrapped each individual nerve in gauze soaked in a lead-based preservative. Upon completion, the entire nervous system was carefully laid out on a board and secured with several thousand pins. This exhibit was later known as Harriet, named after the cleaner herself. Harriet's nervous system became an important educational tool, initially used for teaching purposes at the college and then gaining wider recognition. In 1893, Harriet's nervous system was presented at the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, where Weaver received the highest scientific award. Harriet's nervous system served as the basis for a vast amount of scientific research and was exhibited at numerous scientific expositions. Images of its individual fragments are still used in many anatomy textbooks around the world. Number 5, the ghosts of the water town. If you feel something strange when looking at this photograph, it might be because it is believed to depict ghosts. At least that's what many believe. This photograph was taken in 1924 by the captain of the American tanker Watertown. It is believed to show the ghosts of 2 sailors who had died in an unfortunate accident shortly before. Sailors James Courtney and Michael Meehan were assigned to clean the cargo tank of an oil tanker while the ship was sailing through the Pacific Ocean. However, the task turned tragic as the sailors were overcome by gas fumes and died before help could reach them. Following maritime tradition, their bodies were committed to the ocean. The next day, just before sunset, the first mate reported seeing the faces of the 2 men in the waves. For several days after, the crew reported continually seeing the phantom faces of the doomed sailors, which seemed to occasionally follow the ship. These apparitions attracted the attention and disturbed the entire crew. The ship's captain, Keith Tracy, reported the strange events to his employers, who suggested he try to photograph the eerie faces. When the ghosts were spotted again, Captain Tracy took 6 photographs, 5 of which showed nothing but foam, but the 6th clearly captured the floating heads of the doomed sailors. This photograph became the subject of close scrutiny and investigation. Experts examined the photograph for signs of tampering but found no evidence of fraud. Despite this, after the ship's crew was changed, the faces in the water no longer appeared. Various theories have been proposed to explain this phenomenon, ranging from hallucinations caused by emotional trauma, optical illusions, to genuine paranormal events. The ghosts of the water town remain a mystery to this day. Number 6, photograph of Otto Frank. This photograph was taken by Otto Frank after returning to the attic of the house where he and his family hid during the Holocaust. A moment that is beyond words. Otto Frank moved his family to this secret annex in Amsterdam in 1942, fleeing from the German forces. The Frank family, along with 4 other Jews, lived in this secluded spot behind a bookshelf for 2 years until their hiding place was betrayed. Here, Anne wrote her famous diary, named The Secret Annex. For 2 years, she recorded all the events happening in the hideout, as well as her feelings and thoughts. In August 1944, after the Nazis discovered the hideout, the Frank family was sent to concentration camps. Anne, her sister Margot, and their mother Edith were taken to a women's camp. They did not survive the war. Otto was the only family member who endured the horrors of imprisonment and survived. After the liberation of the camps, Otto made a long and difficult journey back to Amsterdam, intending to visit the attic that had been his family's refuge, and this visit was a painful reminder of the family he had lost. The attic, once filled with the whispers and hopes of a hiding family, stood empty, echoing memories of brutally interrupted lives. Number 7. The Sea Monster from Hook Island. According to legend, a monster known by locals as the Tadpole inhabits the waters near Hook Island, located off the coast of Australia. In December 1964, Robert Le Serec and his family experienced something unusual in Stonehaven Bay. Near Hook Island, they encountered a massive tadpole-like creature. This creature had an unusual appearance: a large flat head with no neck, smooth, dark skin with brown stripes and no visible fins or flippers, eyes situated on the top of its head, and it seemed to have no teeth. The family thought the creature was dead, possibly due to a large white wound they believed could have been caused by a ship's propeller. However, when Le Serec approached to photograph it, the creature opened its mouth and moved towards their boat. The frightened family retreated. The tadpole could have easily swallowed the boat, but it was possibly scared off by the motor. This photograph of the sea monster sparked heated discussions among zoologists and caused a lot of controversy, with some suggesting it could be an unknown marine animal or a giant swamp eel. Others speculate that the image was a hoax using some materials. So far, none of these theories have been proven. Number 8. Picnic at the Alligator Farm. The Alligator Farm in Los Angeles represents a unique and unusual part of the city's history. From 1907 to 1953, families in Los Angeles had the remarkable opportunity to spend their weekends at an alligator farm located in the Lincoln Heights area of California. Over 1,000 reptiles, ranging from hatchlings to fully grown individuals, roamed the farm's premises. This farm offered visitors an unusual interactive experience with its charges. At that time, safety regulations for handling dangerous animals were completely disregarded. For just 25 cents, visitors could walk with an alligator, swim among them, and even organize a picnic surrounded by giant reptiles. Guests were allowed to enter the enclosure to pet, hug, and pick up these dangerous creatures. Children could play with alligator hatchlings as they crawled over them. A child could even ride on a crocodile, for which a special saddle was placed on the reptile's back for rides. Such interaction would be considered extremely dangerous today. The park also hosted shows where visitors could watch alligators slide down a slide into water, feed the reptiles live chickens, and there were even shows where volunteer humans wrestled with large predators. The farm's souvenir shop sold trinkets made from alligator skin, and one could even buy small crocodiles as pets. However, times changed, and society's attitude towards animal protection became more scrutinizing, resulting in the farm's declining popularity. In 1953, the farm was relocated to Buena Park, California, then to Florida, and in 1984, the farm closed, marking the end of an era for this unique Los Angeles attraction. Number 9. Hessdalen Lights. The Hessdalen Lights are a captivating natural phenomenon that has piqued the curiosity of both locals and scientists. These mysterious lights appear in the Hessdalen Valley in central Norway. They were first reported in the early 20th century, but significant attention was drawn to them in the 1980s when the number of sightings dramatically increased. These lights emerge silently, hover, or move erratically, leaving no visible traces like artificial flying objects would. The colors of the lights vary from yellow to greenish and white. They form groups, pulsate, and disappear as suddenly as they appeared. These enigmatic lights continue to intrigue and spark debate, especially among conspiracy theory enthusiasts. Number 10. Baby cages. Remember the gas mask strollers with metal covers? Here's another horrifying invention experiment on children. In the early 20th century, a unique child-rearing practice emerged. At that time, the renowned pediatrician Luther Emmett Holt published a book dedicated to the rapidly developing field of medicine. Holt emphasized the importance of fresh air for children's health, claiming that children should be outside more often and that they should be accustomed to cold and outdoor walks from birth. All these recommendations were given to strengthen a child's immunity to common colds and other minor illnesses. Many followed the pediatrician's prescriptions. However, apartment dwellers in high-rises found it more challenging to provide their children with daily outdoor walks. The famous doctor's book led to the invention of the terrifying baby cage. The inventor of this strange device was Emma Reed. She constructed the cage herself and tested it on her own child. The cage consisted of a rectangular base surrounded by an iron grill. It was attached to the exterior of a window. The base of the structure was covered with a blanket. Various toys were placed inside. Then a baby was placed inside the cage, allowing children to be outdoors for entire days. Parents no longer had to worry about not having a yard at their home. It is known that Eleanor Roosevelt also used this construction for her daughter Anna's sleep, hanging it outside her New York apartment window. Although the structure was intended for health benefits, the constant crying of the child and the questionable reliability of the construction caused concern among her neighbors. Despite its initial popularity, the use of baby cages began to decline, and only by the late 20th century did people realize the dangers of these enclosures, and they were no longer produced. All these photographs undoubtedly provide food for thought, but which of these stories surprised you the most? We look forward to your responses in the comments. If you liked this video, please rate and subscribe to our channel. After all, your activity is the best reward. Thank you for your attention. See you soon.